Italian-American out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay? Oh, what did he do in football? I don't know. How about 4-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, 8-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, became a legend at Notre Dame. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe the coolest human of all time. And to finish out a Mount Rushmore of NFL quarterback week that we have had and so lucky to be a part of, ladies and gentlemen, a man who played for the Niners and the Kansas City Chiefs, Joe Montana.
Yeah!
Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, Pat. I saw that stands when I was coming up the hill at the beach in Hawaii, in Lanai.
Yeah, well, as soon as I saw your ass down at the beach, where we were, there's a beach, then there's like a long walkway, and then there's like a resort up here. And I and the wife, we have a nice little spot up on a perch where we maybe take too many edibles and just kind of look out for hours at a time. That's kind of what I do. And I was standing up there, and I looked down at the beach, and I go, that's Joe Montana down there. Hey, Sam, that's, and then you started walking up, and as you're getting closer, I'm like, holy shit, that's Joe Montana. And I understand that you were probably trying to get away from people at that moment, but I just couldn't help myself. I'm like, boom, Joe, how you doing? Pat McAfee, very nice to meet you. You're the greatest of all time. Like, you were so cool. Everybody says that about you, man. Is that something that you, like, try to do? Do you think you were born with it? Because there's the story about you looking in the Super Bowl into the stands and be like, holy shit, John Kane. And it's like, have you just always been that guy? Why do you think that is kind of how you're labeled, do you think, Joe?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I mean, it's just one of those things where it's fun being in those positions. I mean, you don't look forward to being behind and have to do that all the time. But usually when you're in that position, you're probably part of the reason you're there. So you got to figure out a way to find a way back. But I think one of the things that I learned probably from Bill Walsh more than anything is that the reason you're able to relax so much is that my preparation, it was preparation with him because, we didn't have the earpieces and our game plan it was funny. I'll tell you a story about Theismann, but we would get 125, 135 passes in every game plan, 2 and 3 formations each. You had to memorize the formations and what order Bill wanted them in. Then you'd have 30 runs that do the same thing. And we were playing in, so you would only get signaled just the play. You didn't get the formations because you didn't have enough time to do it. So you had to memorize all that. And so it took a lot of preparation to be there and to get ready for the game on top of practice and watching film. And you had to study that part of it too. But we were playing in the Pro Bowl. We had lost to the Redskins in the championship game, and Bill was the coach of the NFC team. And first day, Bill puts in 35 passes. And Theismann goes, oh my God, man, this is awesome. He gave us all our passes in one day. I go, what are you talking about? He'll install until Saturday. And he goes, no, he won't. I go, yes, he will. And he did. I mean, it wasn't as bad as a normal a playbook for a normal game in the season, but we probably had 60 passes. He goes, what are we going to do with all these passes? I go, that's a ready list, buddy. Just get ready for it.
So, of course, you're a genius too, Joe. I mean, of course, you're a genius in this entire thing. That makes a lot of sense. You seemingly, yes. Yeah, you are. Yeah. Yeah, you are, Joe. And I didn't even know that was an added bonus to this because I just assumed always just super gamer. Always super gamer, able to turn it on when the lights are at the brightest, but you're talking about your preparation and your hard work. When you look at this Niners quarterback now and this Brock Purdy guy, I assume you've gotten a chance to interact with him and meet him, and I assume he, just like everybody else who's in the NFL and has ever been around football, is like starstruck by you. But what do you see from this Brock Purdy guy about why he's had success at such a young age, especially for a 49ers team that obviously has a massive following and has been yearning for something like this, maybe since you were there, Joe?
Yeah, I think the thing I see is something that I think I figured out early on in my career was that what the offense is about, right? It wasn't about me. It was about getting the ball to the people who knew what to do with it because I'm the mailman. This doesn't belong to me. I want to get it to somebody that knows how to run, knows how to catch. And we had, especially late in my career, when you get guys like Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Brent Jones, Roger Craig, on down the line, all you got to do is get the ball to them. And I think if you look at the weapons that Brock's working with, he's figured that offense out. He understands what his position is. He doesn't try to make a big play. He knows when that chance will come and when he needs to do it. But in most cases, it's okay to punt. I got a pretty good defense too, and that's when we had the same thing, right? That defense is pretty good. So, yeah, they're going to have to earn their money too at the same time. And yeah, we're going to punt, and hopefully we don't punt too many times. But the defense, you got to, hey, you're up, let's go. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen of him is, real, because he understands it. He's calm in there. He has a great presence, and he's not trying to knock you out with a football. He delivers a great catchable ball. I mean, you talk to these guys, and they'll tell you, the ball, very rare does it come in there harder than it's supposed to. And so,
yeah, he puts in a keyhole too, Joe. It seems like his accuracy is just phenomenal. He's able to put it and find the spots. You talk about being a mailman, and you talk about all the weapons you had and all the weapons he has, and you're in every Mount Rushmore conversation that there is. So, like, that job well done being a hell of a mailman. Absolutely hell of a mailman. But one of the things they say against Brock is that the offense is the offense, and he has so much talent around him. Like, it feels like they try to find everything to kind of bury him, and now it might be turning, and who knows what it'll be after the Super Bowl, however he performs. But how do you feel about the whole game manager, game changer type conversation? Because the answer you just gave is like, managing the game is a massive piece of the entire thing, Joe. I don't know why that became like slanderous almost.
He hasn't had the chance to work with other receivers, and I think that's not a negative on him. It's just that people haven't seen him do that yet. I mean, obviously there was some reason that that the 49ers liked him to be able to take him last in the draft, the things that they saw on tape. And I don't think it'll matter who's out there. He's fortunate because he's got some pretty good studs out there that can give him the ball, and hey, they can go the distance, and nothing wrong with that. Everybody's had those in their lifetime. So I don't even think about that twice. I just think that it's a plus for him.
He's in his second year, Joe. In your second year, what were you like? I mean, obviously, I don't know how often you think about the early days of you in the NFL, but like year one, year two, year three, was there a time where you thought you had it figured out maybe a little bit more so than before? Like him doing this all in his first 2 years, I think is maybe the biggest conversation piece that is kind of missing out on the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it took me probably late into my second year before I felt comfortable in that offense. I mean, there were times I laugh, and I was telling Bill this too, because I'm sure he knew we were playing the Cowboys in one game that year, and Steve DeBerg was just getting plastered. I mean, every down. And so as the game went on, Bill started substituting, and so if this was Bill, I was standing right behind him, and as he turned, I turned right behind him, so he couldn't see me. Because they had on in that game.
Hold on. We're talking about the sideline antics. Didn't you call your wife one time from the sideline phone, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, I called her a bunch of times after that, but one time I was just sitting there, and I think it was in L.A. was the first time. I was sitting there, we were winning, and I was going, wow, let me see if I hit 9 like any other place, right? You get an outside line. And I got an outside line. So I dialed up my house, and she answered the phone. I said, hey, what are you doing? She goes, I'm watching the game. What are you doing? What are you calling me for? I go, I just thought I'd check and see if this phone worked and if it dialed out, and it did. So I thought I'd call and say, hey, love you. Gotta go back to work.
You're the coolest dude of all time. And obviously being from Pittsburgh, it's great to know that. Tone Diggs, also from Plum, has a question for you.
Yeah, I do, Joe. I wanted to ask you about being there and on a lot of the greats, Unitas, Namath, Blanda, Jim Kelly, Marino.
What?
And then there's some others who aren't in the Hall of Fame, but were still great quarterbacks. Why do you think being from Western PA, especially around that time, like created so many great quarterbacks?
I get asked this a lot, and I really don't have an answer other than I think that such a blue-collar area, hardworking, sports was everything. I know that I played 3 sports all the way through high school, and mainly because my mom and dad knew they couldn't afford to send me to a college that, of any named college, so to speak. And it was a way out of, we had coal mine in our town. We had 2 steel mills along the river right by us. And, it was a blue collar. And I think that it was just a hardworking area. You were taught to work hard. And at that point in time, I don't know. I think maybe it was the Iron City beer. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't really have an answer on how that it came that all those quarterbacks came out of there. I just know that very competitive, all of them. Had been friends with everybody, Danny and Jim and Unitas before he passed away, and Namath. So it's a fun group to be associated with. I know that.
Yeah. Well, we're all lucky that you.
I don't have an answer.
Well, you just gave the answer. I think you did give the answer,
Yeah.
and I think it was just like every other generation of Pittsburghers. Whenever you're in high school and you're underage, you can certainly find Iron City or Icy Light, whatever you need it. And a little bit of river water make you feel good. Have you tried? They got Icy Light Mango, I think. They got an Icy Light Mango. It's delightful, Joe. Hey.
Very good.
Delightful, Joe. Actually.
I'll have to give it a try.
Do you?
After my Guinness.
Oh, you're a Guinness guy?
Yeah. I've been doing Guinness now for a while. We were over in Ireland with the girls this is the craziest stories. Like, it actually was cheaper to buy jumping horses in Europe, ship them back home than it is to buy them here.
Like actual jumping horses you're talking about?
Yeah, like the equestrian jumpers.
You're in that world? Your family's in that world? I didn't know that.
Well, we were for a while with the girls, and so we were over there, and our trainer, he said to me, "Hey, when the girls are done jumping, we're gonna go get us a pint." And I'm going, again, he goes, "A pint of Guinness." And I'm going, "Oh, okay, man. All right, I guess." I wasn't really had much Guinness to that point, but wow. So first he goes and he comes back. He goes, "I'll go sit down. I'll get it." And he comes back and I go, "Well, where's the beer?" He's going, "Well, no, you got to wait for it." I go, "What do you mean you got to wait for it?" He goes, "Yeah, special way to pour it." And after the first one, every day about the same time, I go, "Charlie, isn't it about time for a pint?" But been with Guinness ever since. It's been a while. Yeah.
We just saw a photo of you with your Guinness gear on. Boy,
looks so cool.
Look how sweet. You're certified pourer. I actually got the certificate to pour the pint, the whole thing. I did that over there.
You know what? I learned a trick too this time. We were just over in Ireland for the Notre Dame Navy game. So we went and visited what do they call it? They don't call it the brewery.
Factory?
The gatehouse or something like that. And it's like 14 stories. And the guy showed me a trick on the end. You know how you're not supposed to have any bubbles? Yeah. How to get rid of the bubble if you have a bubble. It's pretty sweet.
So what is it,
now
Joe?
I got it.
So tell me, what the hell is it, Joe? I think we should all know.
Right at the end, if you see a little bubble, you just tilt it up and pour right over top of the bubble, just a drop.
So you're combating the bubble almost. You're like alphaing the bubble. Yeah. Guinness is delightful over there. It is a great taste.
Yeah,
delicious.
How many do we have? Are you putting shots of? Are you doing car bombs with those things as well,
Joe? Every now and then.
Joe. Yep. We love that. Conman's got a question for you, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, now it feels like in the NFL, everyone obviously wants their franchise QB, and then once that franchise QB is on, the last leg of their career, they want the next guy. And we saw it with the Packers for, Brett Favre to Rodgers, and then Rodgers to now Jordan Love, who's unbelievable. And you kind of had to deal with that with Steve Young a little bit. When you are that guy at a place for so long, how is that transition as the front man when you know, like, hey, there is someone behind me that they obviously want to be the guy someday? And, how do you think that was handled with Sam Frank? Because obviously the Jimmy G to Trey Lance worked in a different way, obviously, because of Brock.
Yeah. Well, my transition, I think, was a little different than most, mainly because we'd won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Well, when I got hurt in the championship game, we were winning. When I left the game, is all I say. And I probably had one of the best statistical years that I'd had. So in a lot of cases, you should get your job back. But I don't know. George had made a transition while I was hurt, and he didn't want to transition back out. And he wanted me to be the backup, and I said, I'm better than he is, and I don't want to be behind him. I shouldn't be behind him. So, and then I even said, put 2 salaries on the table and let us compete. And if I lose, I'll stay. And he said no. So I'm not staying under those circumstances. I want to play. I want to be on the field. I want to finish my career on the field. I don't want to be here on the bench when I know if I knew I couldn't play, different story. But I knew I could play still.
You and Steve have any heat for that? Any beef for that long term? Or
no, I mean, anytime you're in a competition with somebody, it's not always the closest of friendships. I mean, we're friends, but and it was a working relationship. My job, as I always say, when they said, "How did you help Steve?" I go, "I didn't help Steve. My job was to make sure that Steve stayed right where he was, behind me. That's my job."
They talk about that now.
As long as I'm doing my job. Excuse me?
They still talk about that now. Whenever there's like a veteran in this position, it's not just quarterback. They're always like, this person needs to teach this young person how to take their job.
Well, you do teach to a certain degree, but it's one of those things that there's so much to do yourself that is really hard to sit there during a game or during practice to where you got to, I mean, the concentration that takes place from the day you start practice in the middle of the week, or like for us, we came in on Monday, had Tuesday off, started Wednesday. So from Wednesday through Sunday, it was a grind. You know, it's hard enough to get myself ready to try to get somebody else ready too. But not that if he asked me questions, yeah, for sure I could help during that. But for the most part, I'm concentrating on getting myself ready for the game.
Speaking of getting yourself ready, and obviously you played a long time, and hey, still able to spin that.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do any, what was your, because obviously food science and nutrition and everything has kind of changed over the years and evolved as we've learned more about the human body and foods and everything like that. Because, forgive me if this was the era before you, but we've seen the videos of people smoking, you know, NFL guys smoking and things like that. Like, how did you take care of your body back then, and what was it like versus what you see nowadays in the NFL?
Oh, it's a lot different. I just had a simple lifting routine, very simple, till I got to Kansas City, and then Marty made me lift 5 days a week, and he made somebody go with me to make sure I didn't cheat, and I went from 192 pounds to 208.
Jeez.
And he wondered why I was running out of bounds, and some guy clipped my foot, and I tore my hamstring. And he said, "I thought you were faster than that." I said, "I was at 192, but not at 208.
Yeah, you kind of slowed me down here.
Back then, we had guys that smoked in the locker room. We had, but for me, I was pretty simple. I got up, like pregame was get up, go to the check into breakfast, take a little tiny piece of, couple bites of steak just to get my stomach so it wasn't full. Halftime, I had a Snickers. And after the game, I had a double cheeseburger. It's in the locker. So,
Day, what's your game day routine? Well, just need a couple pieces of steak. I need that Snickers. Need that Snickers, and then afterwards, double cheeseburger, stat, pronto, or the body won't show up next week. I think you're obviously so synonymous with the Niners because of the multiple Super Bowls, and you just brought up getting to the Chiefs, and we looked up. We think you were 8-3 and then 9-5, had a couple injuries, but made it to the AFC Championship. Do you keep in touch with the Chiefs program at all? Because this is kind of a Joe Montana Bowl here that's happening in the Super Bowl. And what are your thoughts on where they are right now? They're in the middle of a dynasty run, much like you guys were.
Yeah, they definitely are. You know, they've got, I mean, and that was kind of part of the reason I went there. After looking around, there were some places that I could have gone also, but you look at the organization, it was similar to what I was used to here in San Francisco. The support from the team, the support from the fans is absolutely ridiculous. If you ever played in Kansas City, it's insane. And but it was just a great transition. We had a really good defense, and we had a really good offensive line. We had what I wasn't really used to was some little fast guys on the outside. I could fly. I had to outrun my arm all the time. I'm going, guys, I got to get this up as fast as I can get it in the air. But the transition was great. The people were great. You know, we had lived in a great neighborhood right on the golf course there, and so it was a fun place to play.
Yeah.
Very fun. Unfortunately, we made a mistake in that last season where we had to go to Buffalo for the championship game, and we had beaten them already once earlier in the year. And it was 50 degrees and sunshine in Kansas City, but that wasn't the case. And
a little different. Home field advantage matters. Home field advantage matters.
Oh my gosh! And I couldn't throw the ball from here to my window right there. And it was, and for any consistency, light rain, drizzle, wind, cold. It was like, yeah, everything I hate.
Pittsburgh guy, but you go over to California for a while, things start to get a little bit different over there in NorCal.
Change.
Ty has a question for you, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, before Bill Belichick, a lot of people would say that, hey, Bill Walsh is arguably the greatest coach of all times. And you play for him, and then obviously in Kansas City, played for Marty Schottenheimer. Right now, the coaching cycle is kind of complete, and we're seeing all these teams go with young, offensive-minded guys. Are you surprised that a guy like Bill Belichick is kind of left out and he's not, with only being 15 wins away from the career record? Like, are you surprised that the league is skewing much younger and going offensive, and a guy like Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll are kind of just left in this game of musical chairs and they're not going to be coaching a team next year?
I can say yes and I can say no, but for the most part, it doesn't surprise me at all. Anything in the NFL these days, I mean, they're always looking for the next best thing. And I think when Bill came along, he brought a new type of system that people have added on to a lot. That made a lot of sense, and I think was his big advantage at that point. And that's what they're looking for now. The game's changed. It's not the same as when Pete first started or Belichick first started. And they're looking for those guys who, live in that world right now. And quarterback position's different. So I'm not surprised. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to see them catch on somewhere, but I'm not surprised that it's happening finally to the coaches who are doing it to everybody. They're getting it now.
I like that. I like the way you're viewing that. A couple questions here before we let you go, and this has been so cool. I just want to let you know that.
Yeah.
I took a 23andMe. I'm 0.01% Italian, so as a Western Pennsylvania Italian American, this is a real dream come true. How do you feel about where the NFL is right now? A lot of the olds that are around the NFL back in the day, soft, this, that, all the different changes have been made. It's not still football. The ratings are higher than ever. The amount of money that's coming into the league is bigger and better than ever. What are your thoughts on the state of the NFL and of football whenever you watch it, Joe?
I think it's great. I mean, the game itself is, it's a Sunday afternoon is nothing like a Sunday afternoon. And being out there and getting the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of the game and the adrenaline rushes that happen, and it's still fun to watch. And the game, if you look at the game from when Jennifer always hates when I say this. Well, when I played, because she always says, why does everybody have to say that? But back when I played, there were guys who played before me that if I watched their tapes, I would say the same thing. Wow, the game has changed a lot compared to then. I mean, even some cases, the ball's shape has even changed to where it is today. But they're always looking for a way to make the game better. Now finally they're starting to try to make it a little bit safer. I still would like to see them hit the quarterback, but just don't compress them in the ground. We should be able to get hit like anybody else. But the problem I have with that is that we get hit by a guy who outweighs you by 150 pounds. Excuse me.
It's okay. Hey. Oh, it's right. Take your time,
Joe.
Joe, take your time. You cannot have you choking. You know what I mean? You gather your breath. We already got enough people attacking us, Joe. We already got enough people.
I have two. Yeah, we have two. We have three grandkids and super spreaders, so I got something from them. And
we hope you're all right.
But yeah, I think that I just think that they should be part of the game more of that and be able to feel the hit. Just don't compress them.
Yeah, and I think Tom Brady says the same thing. I think Aaron Rodgers says the same thing. I think everybody that is potentially Mount Rushmore, I think everybody that's on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, there's 5 to 6 guys, I think, that are kind of on everybody's list. when that starts happening and your name starts getting brought up into that, as a dude who's from coal mining steel mill town, playing sports, just hoping to get to college, is that a whirlwind of emotion whenever people start saying like, hey, this guy's like greatest of all time to ever play the sport that literally all of America loves? Like, when did that start happening for you, and what was kind of the emotions of that came alongside of that?
Well, I think it started happening, right after I retired, and but it's a great feeling to know that people, still think that of you and what you did, and because while you're out there, you play for yourself, you also play for your fans. Sorry, guys.
No, don't worry. Sorry for asking you another question after that. I thought you had beat it. Can we get Joe some water over there?
Come on.
Can we get Joe some water over there?
Call the house phone.
Jeez, yeah, use the sideline phone.
Please.
Holding it off, too. I've been fighting it for about since we started here.
Hey, that's impressive grit. That's good grit. That's the
Pittsburgh.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's a great feeling to know that people still think that about you and still consider you in that group. I played, like I always say, I played a stupid game for a living that I loved, and I was very lucky.
Well, you're fantastic at it, and you inspired a lot of us, especially Pittsburgh kids. So we appreciate you. Keep going. Enjoy this upcoming week in Super Bowl, and can't wait to see you get a nice sip of water, Joe.
No, me too.
Hey, I'll see you soon, man.
All right, take care. See you guys. Have a good one. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, thank you for joining us. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Montana.
Yeah, Joe.